So our midterm or our major project now coming up for this next couple weeks is going to be what we call a dynamic word video, which means it needs audio. You need to find some piece of audio that has words in it, and it can be some people will use songs, some people will use poems or readings from books, some people use commercials. But like, where do we get these? Because they do need to be copyright free, regardless of whether this is your midterm or your final this semester. Like this project, this song cannot just be a top 40 song from the radio. It has to be something that you legally are allowed to use for class. And so it's going to be very important that you send me the link to what you're doing as soon as you know what you're doing, and that it meet this requirement. So I have up here a new section called asset sources, and it has a few links to places that you can find some sound. And these are not the only places you can look for stuff. These are just to get you started. And if anyone has any other ideas, feel free to send me a link and I can post it here. Freesound.org is mostly sound effects, but still I posted it. One great place I like to go to is LibriVox. So when you go to LibriVox, it's asking, are you going to read stuff or are you going to actually listen to stuff? Obviously, we're going to listen to stuff. And everything on here is in the public domain, um, doubly speaking. So what that means is that everything here is both the thing itself that's being read is public domain, and also the reading itself is in public domain. So the best example I can think of, if I spelled it correctly, is the Jabberwocky poem. So Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, written in the 18 something or others, very obviously going to be in the public domain. Jabberwocky is a part of that book. So it's a very famous poem, which means it's got lots of different versions that we can choose from, all the versions. And it's got a lot of like great little words in it. So what you can do is you can listen to a particular version on here and then later download it. Let's see if it records. That is a terrible recording. Don't use that one. There's lots of that popping going on. There it is. Right? So we've got a poem that was written 200 years ago, which means it's in public domain. And this gentleman here, whose name is, I don't even know which one I clicked on now, but it's I think it was Brad Bush, but it that recording itself is in the public domain, which means all you need to do in order to get it is when you click on it, you listen to it. If you like it, you can click here and say download, and it will download an MP3 that you can use in Animate. And we have another video that goes over how to put sound in Animate. All right, but LibriVox is great for readings from books and from poems. So if you know your literary works or are just interested in something that sounds like that, then this is definitely the place to go to get it, because you know everything here is okay. So if you send me a link from LibriVox, the only objection I might have is I hope you know how to shorten it. This particular poem can be anywhere from 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, depending on who's reading it and how quickly. So the expectation is that you would simply do the first part, or to take a chunk that you like, but you do not have to obviously do the entire thing. Next up, we have no copyright sounds. Now, this is a space where there's probably other channels that do the same thing, and so if you guys know about them, please let me know. But no copyright sounds is a copyright-free for students and online creators segment of YouTube. So they have all sorts of music and sounds, and it's free for the content creator community. That means if you are making a video review of a movie that you liked, or if you are a student who is learning, you can use this stuff for free without asking. They do usually ask that you accredit the people who made the song. But yeah, exactly. Remember to credit the artist, the track, and no copyright sound. And if you were to post this online, link back to the original upload. But otherwise, now that one of the tricks is finding the stuff that actually has words to it, which is not everything. Um, but here we go. Not copyright lyrics. This should all have. There we go. So all of this stuff would be good to use in class. So if you send me a link from No Copyright Sound, you should be good to go. There's usually a download link somewhere in the video's description. So if we pause this, right, so there's a download there. It also lists the lyrics usually, and there's plenty of other places where they will have posted it and have the artist look. The one knock I would have against No Copyright Sound is especially their word stuff does tend to sound a little similar. So hopefully you like that kind of smooth electronic-y feel to your music. But again, it's all safe to use for class. And I'm sure there's other sites out there that I haven't heard of yet. So if you are knowing of that, please let me know and I will post the link for us in class. The third place is archive.org. Now, this is the one that is both the best and the worst place to go. It's the best because there's so much stuff. Each of these is its own library. Each of these is its own like copyright sound. Oh, look, it links to LibriVox. One of the biggest problems is there's so much stuff, right? There's so many things here. Where do you begin? For example, net labels is all record companies that are online, but each one is its own. This is a lot, right? Like this is a lot of different labels to be going through, and then when you go to one of those labels, then you get down to the various songs and things. So there's a lot of material here, but if you know where to look, I'm going to point out a few things that are good to go at. Net labels, obviously, but it's hit or miss with the quality of the songs. We will get to Prelinger Archives in a minute. I'm looking for and not finding there's a radio archive on here. Old time radio. So old time radio, entire episodes of things like Gunsmoke and other things. Now, I'm going to Gunsmoke not because I think you should use Gunsmoke. That has its own problems, including the fact that each of these is a half hour long because it's the whole episode. But I want you to see where they post the information on the rights. So everything in archive.org is going to have the content up here, and you can preview it up there. And then you can see the usage. And here it says attribution, non-commercial, no derivatives. Basically, it's a Creative Commons license. So Creative Commons license has a bunch of different types, but as long as it doesn't say some rights reserved or all rights reserved, though you can't use those. But if it says attribution, non-commercial, if it says public domain, if it says Creative Commons 00, then you are good to go on using that. And if you click on these, it'll tell you what this means. And in this case, it says you are free to distribute this material in any medium, in any format. Now, one of the problems with using old radio shows is that they were made a long time ago and they are sometimes going to have questionable content. So there can be some really cool things to find in X-1, but it's a little bit of a risk. Again, we've got a Creative Commons license there. Some things will not have a license listed. Depending on where you are in here, you might go to here we go. The Live Music Archive. So this is people who, release their own bootlegs basically of their concerts, that kind of a thing. And so you can go somewhere and you'll see a concert for streaming, but you won't see anything about usage here. That means it might not be okay. There's some evidence that this one would be okay because they are allowing you to download it. A lot of these things will say stream only. But the fact that it doesn't say usage on here, what's the name of the band that's being portrayed? Like, what, is it the Grateful Dead? Well, they don't care what you use. That's actually part of their shtick, is that they release their stuff. But it's a little bit more tricky with some of these. So you have to be careful. Yeah, see, a lot of the live music does not list um, usage rights. So you want to look for that explicit usage right in there. The last one I want to kind of just point out, and again, we have to be careful, just like with the old radio archive, is the Prelinger Archive. So this is a bunch of old-timey, ridiculous PSAs and home videos, and just like, I don't even know, things of a bygone era. Old commercials. There's a lot of old commercials in here. There's also apparently the world's first cat video, probably. And it's 22 minutes of your house cat. But this is basically stuff that was released so long ago. These are like government videos, so it's become part of the public domain, and so you guys can use them. Here, let's see if I can scroll forward. And there's not even any sound. So that doesn't really make this useful for us. One that does have sound, I always pointed out, we could see here usage public domain. So we know it's okay. This is from the Civil Defense Administration. Back in the 1950s during the Cold War, this is what they would like play for kids, like in case there's like a nuclear alarm. You can hear the old timiness of the song. And it gets very, very silly. And it's like, if you duck and cover under your desk, you'll be safe from a nuclear attack. And again, we're talking about the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So you're going, like, some of these television commercials are going to, some of them are great and they're hilarious and they're funny, and some of them are terrible. So kind of come in here at your own risk, understand what you're getting into, and just please be careful with what you choose. But there are, especially if you can find some of the old commercials, just a lot of like fun things in here. That have like great ridiculous, here you go, Lucky Strikes commercial, oh my goodness. So there's a lot of good material in here, and it's all downloadable. This is all public domain. So once you go in there, okay, don't play it, and you check that it's public domain or Creative Commons, there's all these download options. You can download, just the MP3 of the song in some cases. All right, so this is just the beginning of places where you can find stuff. There's obviously so many other places on the internet, including your own music potentially, or music from someone that you know. But what we're looking for is stuff with words. Absolutely must have words, which is why I went to no copyright sound lyrics. And we want to make sure, like absolutely sure, that it's in the public domain or Creative Commons, or that you somehow otherwise have permission. And you will have to send me a link that I will say, give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. I will let you know, yep, this is good to go. So make sure you send me that link before you start working in anything.